Hello, everybody. My name is Danny Rodriguez, and today I'm going to be introducing the artist Alex Grey, my personal favorite artist on earth. So, some biographical information about him was that he is born in Columbus, Ohio, and he was born on November 29th, 1953. He went to school in, bear with me, School of the Museum of Fine Arts in Tufts. Mouthful. He is married to his wonderful wife, Allison Grey, who's another psychedelic contemporary artist. Many of his works are famous in the psychedelic world, which you can go to San Francisco and see a lot of the murals that he's painted all over Haight Street, or you can visit his art exhibit, which he happens to call his chapel, in Hudson Valley, New York. His most notable art pieces are the piece called Eon Blue Apocalypse. And I'm not saying that the band Tool made his work explode in popularity, but everyone I've ever talked to who knows of this man's work happens to be a fan of the band. At least from who I've talked to, this was their first impression of Alex Grey's work. So after seeing the album artwork, people that I've known usually dive into the rest of his art and are absolutely blown away from what he's made. One of, if not his biggest piece that he's known for, is called The Net of Being, which a bigger version of this piece sits beautifully along the walls of the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors. Speaking of Sacred Mirrors, his most important publications are from his books called Sacred Mirrors, where he dives into his own philosophies and his reasoning for his artistic expression. Speaking of Sacred Mirrors, his most important publications are from his book Sacred Mirror, where he dives into his own philosophies and his reasonings for his artistic expression. Strangely enough, this man has won a Grammy not for his music, but for the best recording package of Tool's 10,000 Days album cover in 2007. His other awards is that he's gotten a Nautilus Silver Book Award in 2023 for his book Net of Being that was co-authored with his wife Allison Grey, which won the in the photography and art category. Another one of his accolades is that he's considered one of the top 100 living spiritual leaders since 2011. That's been listed in the Watkins Review. He's also one of the top 50 interfaith leaders awarded by the Temple of Understanding in New York City. And he also won the national competition at his age of 17 in 1971 from the publication 17 magazine. Now, the three prominent pieces that I really want to talk about are his pieces Eon Blue Apocalypse, Dying, and Gaia. Now, as I've mentioned before, the first time I was ever exposed to Alex Grey's work was through his album artwork on my favorite band's Tool's album, and it's called Eon Blue Apocalypse. Um, arguably, it's one of his most famous works that helped put his work on the map. What I can describe about the piece is that this piece perfectly encapsulates what his works is all about. The human body and all its experiences reaching a way higher being in perfect harmony with the universe that surrounds us all. I mean, you can call it chakra or chi or your spirit, but it just shows up like beautifully in this piece. The next piece I want to talk about is called Dying. It's one of his bigger pieces that actually did help kick off a whole music video based around this piece, which it depicts the what happens at the very end of our lives, what it looks like to rejoin the greater collective of spirits in the afterlife, joining the infinite again as your spirit leaves your body, and it's one of my favorite pieces. The last piece I want to talk about is Gaia. It's another one of his most of his famous pieces, but for a different reason. This piece of work came out to him supposedly in a dream showing a bastardized version of the Tree of Life. What would it actually look like in the modern day? And here's the fun fact. This piece was completed in September 10th of 2001, the day right before 9/11, which is what sparked many people to believe that this piece was a prophecy. Alex believes it was a coincidence because it was a piece that was critiquing the current president at the time, George W. Bush, but in the background you can clearly see a plane getting ready to crash into the Twin Towers. And keep in mind, he had no clue the attack was happening, and he says he feels guilt about for creating this work since it did depict the carnage that would ensue the next day. The historical references that he uses to create his art are admittedly from his psychedelic experiences with experimenting with drugs like DMT and LSD. But if you need a more concrete, uh, a concrete inspiration for him, it would be his love for Tibetan Buddhism. His work has influenced my view of art as looking deeper within myself to try and get to a higher power that you can call it hippy dippy stuff, but I do think that Alex Gray and his wife Allison Gray are onto something. It's about like seeking knowledge and trying to expand your mind into greater possibilities. It's something I strive to do and look forward to. So yeah, that's the presentation. Thank you so much.